Welcome to Talking Buffalo, featuring conversations with guests from around the world of sports, media, pop culture, and all things Buffalo, with your host, Patrick Moran.
What is going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo sports talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Big thank you to everyone out there, as always, for watching and for listening, for following and subscribing. You guys are truly the best, man. I appreciate you very, very much. This is my biggest Buffalo Bills takeaways from week 10. Got a chance to spend a good chunk of Monday morning going over the All-22 film, poured over some of the PFF grades and analysis. Got a chance to sleep on the game. So I got a lot of takeaways here today. A little bit different than when we do the live post-game show. Live post-game show, those are fun to do, but those tend to be a little more emotional in the moment. When you get a chance to sleep on things and watch the game back, you kind of pick up on some things that maybe you might have missed in that moment on Sunday. So that's going to be the meat and potatoes of what is going on with today's episode. I always love doing this one. Before we get going, real quick here, if you're not subscribed already on the YouTube side or the audio side, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, please make sure that you follow us on both. That's the best way to really support Talking Buffalo and help us grow. And we're doing different things on each side. Like if you're on the video side, you subscribe on YouTube, you're going to get most of the episodes in full length. You're going to get some exclusive content that you're only going to get on the YouTube side. That's it. But on the audio side, it's the only place where you're going to be guaranteed to get every single episode of Talking Buffalo in its entirety. For an example, we actually did a bonus episode this past Saturday, a Bills Colts preview in advance of Sunday's game, and that was dropped on the audio side only. So please, if you can, make sure you're subscribed on both the audio and the video sides. Before we get into this real quick, I'd like to ask for you to indulge me for just a couple of minutes. A real quick story here. So I'm recording this probably around dinner time-ish on Monday, Veterans Day. Typically on a Monday, I get up for work around 8:30-ish. Now, I work from home remotely, so I just have to get up, go to the bathroom, get my cup of coffee, get my day going, and I just, basically stumble right here into my home studio, my home office for my day. So I get to sleep in. I get a lot of work done during the day. I get some podcast prep done, and then at some point, I'll shoot the podcast when I get a chance. Anyway, this day, on this Monday, I woke up wide, and I mean wide awake for some reason at 6 a.m, which again is 2.5 to sometimes even 3 hours before I typically would get up. My wife gets up every day at that time. And my first thought was going back to sleep. But then again, I was just a little bit restless. And all of a sudden I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? What a golden elite opportunity to get a Monday day nap in. So I said, screw it, man. I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. I'm going to pound out some work, get my podcast prep done, take a nice afternoon nap, and then I'll record the show. Well, I completely forgot that the Buffalo Sabres were playing a Monday matinee, 12:30 KeyBank Center, hosting the shitty Montreal Canadiens. Montreal Canadiens have been one of the worst teams in the league so far this season. It's like, damn, there goes my nap. But I wasn't going to not watch the game because this is a Sabres team that fired off 3 straight wins, including a very exciting one on Saturday in a shootout. They've been a lot of fun to watch. So I said, I guess I'm going to have to sacrifice that nap. I'm going to invest a couple hours into this hockey team. Well, I'm really pissed off that I did because what a goddamn annoying waste of 3 hours of my time on Monday watching that shit show that is the Buffalo Sabres. Again, you're in your home rink against a bad team. You want to be taken serious. You want to make that next step. These are the games you got to win. You got to beat the Montreal Canadiens on your home rink. That's how you get real streaks going. And granted, again, they've won 3 in a row. There's no reason for this to not to be 4 in a row. And they lost. Not only did they lose, but they lost in regulation. And not only did they lose in regulation, they lost in regulation despite scoring 5 goals in a game. And they leave with 0 points. Now, if the Sabres, and it happens year after year, if they even flirt with contending, you get to March, late in the season, and you're like, damn, we're 8 points out. Too bad we're not 3 points out or 4 points out. And you look for a couple games where you look back and you're like, how did the Sabres not win this game? Well, this is one of them. This is one of them. Just ridiculous, this game here on Monday. Maybe more important than the game, Tage Thompson gets hurt, a lower body injury. That's all they ever say is lower body in hockey. Upper body, lower body, that's all you ever get. As I record this, don't know the extent of it. He played 1 shift in the second period, went to the locker room, and never came back out. Obviously, that's not good, and that might be more important. In fact, not might be, it will be more important than this singular loss if it's something significant. Mattias Samuelsson returns in the lineup. He got hurt too. What else is new? He gets hurt all the damn time. Just a frustrating afternoon, probably more so because I missed out on taking my nap. But, man, this team, like UPL's been playing really good hockey. In fact, he was the 3rd star of the NHL over the past week at like a .945 save percentage. Well, he couldn't make a save, a good one anyway, to save his life in this game. He gets pulled. Devin Levi came in and he was really no better in the 3rd period. Jack Quinn, I mean, how many times we got to talk about this guy this year? Forget about scoring goals. I would just like to see this guy go 2 or 3 shifts in a row without falling down. I mean, not getting checked and falling down, just straight up falling down. Falling down over the place. Just ridiculous. Bo Byram taking multiple stupid penalties. One of them resulted in a power play goal, which, by the way, Montreal had 6 power play opportunities in this game. They cashed in on 2 of them. That's your difference right there. The Sabres were up 3-2 with like a minute left in the second period. They gave up 2 goals in 22 seconds, and then bam, just like that, they're losing 4-3. But they come out strong in the 3rd. Darlene scores, I believe it was on the power play, it was. And then J.J. Peterka with a great effort. And then bam, Sabres are up 5-4. Well, it still wasn't enough because they end up losing the game 7-5. Empty netter at the end. Again, 0 points. And if you're sitting there saying, well, hey, at least he scored 5 goals, it was worth it, fun game to watch. Bullshit. You know what I like more than seeing the Sabres score goals? I like to see the Sabres beat shitty-ass hockey teams when they're playing them in their own goddamn rink. It's just annoying. This team can't get out of their own way. Dumb mistakes, terrible, untimely goaltending, just turnovers galore, missed assignments all over the place. Just, it's frustrating. Typical Sabres. I mean, that's what it is. It's typical Sabres. And I'll tell you what, if that Tage Thompson injury is significant, that's a wrap for the Buffalo Sabres. We're here early November right now. And if Tage Thompson misses, say, 2 to 4 weeks, going to be able to withstand him. No way. This team will completely fall out of it before we get done with our Christmas shopping. So it sucks to say it because, again, 3 straight wins, which, by the way, followed 3 straight losses. It's just been the streaky nature of the Sabres this season, but just an inexcusable, pathetic, mistake-prone loss to a lousy hockey team in your own building. Screw these afternoon games, by the way. I hate them. I don't want to see them anymore. I guess if you don't care about the Sabres and you're just, say, a Bills fan, this would be like, today's game would be like being around a 500 football team, kind of like in the mid part of the season. And I know the Bills are 8-2, but let's just pretend they're not. Say they're 4-6 right now, okay? And you're trying to stay in the thick of things. And you get the Tennessee Titans at home, and you freaking lose to the Titans in Orchard Park. And then Josh Allen gets hurt to make matters worse. That's what it's like right now with the Sabres. Just a goddamn annoying mess. You don't lose at home to the Montreal Canadiens. How are we supposed to take this team serious when they're losing at home to the Montreal Canadiens? God, it's annoying. And when you score 5 goals. I got to point that out. If you lose 2-0 and you're throwing the kitchen sink and they got a hot goalie, shit happens in hockey. A hot goalie could carry you to a victory. But you score 5 goals at home and you don't even get 1 point? Come on, man. Come on. Just, it's pathetic. Anyway, some big news here with the Buffalo Bills. Before we get into the takeaways from week 10, this Indianapolis game, big news to come out of Sean McDermott's mouth on Monday late afternoon. The practice window for Matt Milano is officially opening this week. That could be huge for the Buffalo Bills. 21-day window. McDermott already said he definitely will not play against Kansas City, so we don't have to think about that. But with the Chiefs game this week and then a bye, there is a chance Matt Milano might be back for that Sunday night Frisco game following the bye. And I don't need to tell you how big that would be for the Bills. Now, Dorian Williams, we're going to talk about here actually in a minute, because I was impressed with something that he did big time in this Colts game. In fact, it's leading off my takeaways. But Dorian Williams is a really solid player who's becoming a pretty good starter. But you're talking about an all-pro linebacker right now. Matt Milano's return, barring a setback, is imminent. And we've seen the difference when Teron Johnson was out for a month and he came back and replaced Cam Lewis in the starting lineup. Nothing against Cam Lewis. Cam Lewis did some good things. But Teron Johnson is just on another level. We've seen Balen Spector, for the whole 2 weeks that he stays healthy per season, do some good things. But Terrell Bernard is just a different cat. And I feel the same way about Dorian Williams. Dorian Williams is an athletic dude. He makes some plays, but he's not Matt Milano. And I know Matt Milano has not played a regular season game in a long time. But I'll tell you what, he's a veteran. He's an all-pro player. He's literally one of the best off-ball linebackers in the entire NFL. And I'm going to have confidence that when he comes back, even if he's 90% of what he was pre-injuries, that is still a stud on the defense. A stud. Pretend that the Bills went out at the trade deadline and got themselves an all-pro caliber linebacker. What a boost he's going to be to the Buffalo Bills defense, which is already pretty damn good. So that's huge news. Keon Coleman has already been ruled out for Sunday. He will not play against the Chiefs. Amari Cooper, Dalton Kincaid, that's going to be a see how it goes throughout the week type situation. At least that's the latest from Sean McDermott on Monday. So anyway, pretty promising news all in all, especially about Matt Milano coming. Amari Cooper and Kincaid, like I said, wait and see. And Keon Coleman is definitely going to be out this week. That sucks, but whatever. You got to get him right down the stretch. As big as this game's going to be, and I don't want to get into this game today. We'll talk about it throughout the week. But as big as this game is, it's just one game. And with the Bills in the complete driver's seat, not even in the driver's seat, 26 shirts, you can go and print the AFC Championship t-shirts right now. AFC East Divisional Championship t-shirts, I should say. You can go print that shit right now. But right now for the Bills, it's about getting healthier and playing down the stretch much more than just a win against a undefeated Kansas City team on Sunday. Anyway, all right, takeaways for this game. These are not necessarily prioritized in order of what was most important, kind of random. But after, again, watching the film, going back, watching the game, looking at some PFF grades and stuff like that, there were some standouts to me, mostly good, a little bit bad, but things that I wanted to hit on the show that maybe I really didn't get to when I did the live post-game show last night with Joe from Queens. And I mentioned Dorian Williams. I actually want to start there because there was a play, and it was by far the Bills' worst defensive play of the whole game. But in the midst of that Bills' worst defensive play of the game, something really stood out to me. And it was Dorian Williams, the work ethic, the hustle, and just the speed, the traits that this man possesses that is ultra impressive. So the Bills are up, I believe it was 10-0 at the time, okay? And on a first down run, Jonathan Taylor gets stuffed, a 2-yard gain. It's 2nd and 8. Hand off to Jonathan Taylor on the right-hand side. Casey Toohill was the left end on the edge. He got sealed off. Terrell Bernard, the middle linebacker, got sealed off in the middle. The left guard, or maybe it was the right guard, he comes, he pulls, and it's just a great call by the Colts, by the way. And he gets Rasul Douglas, who's the corner on the outside, completely out of the way. That opens up an opportunity for Jonathan Taylor to get to a hole. And Demar Hamlin, who all in all did not play that bad. So this is not a Patrick Spitson on Demar Hamlin podcast yet again. But on this specific play, Demar Hamlin is flat-footed, hesitant, and just takes a bad angle, whatever you want to call it, running like he's got cement in his feet. Jonathan Taylor beats him to the punch, gets in that hole, takes off to the races down the field, and it certainly looks like Jonathan Taylor is going to score a touchdown. It was eerie similar to the play where Derrick Henry ran for like 88 yards and a touchdown on Baltimore's first offensive snap of the game on Monday Night Football earlier this year. Again, Demar Hamlin just takes when he takes a bad angle, or if he gets caught flat-footed and it's about speed, he's donezo. He's donezo. Anyway, Dorian Williams hustles his ass off, runs down the field, almost step for step with Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor gets inside the 10, and I want to make sure I give Taylor Rapp credit, because if Taylor Rapp's not there, Jonathan Taylor's still scoring. Now, Rapp doesn't make the tackle, but he does kind of slow him down just a little bit. And slowing him down just a little bit allows Dorian Williams coming in from behind and making what was a touchdown saving tackle. It just would be easy for a linebacker to kind of go through the motions a little bit, run 70, 75, 80% speed when a running back gets out in front of you like that. But he didn't. He hustled his ass off, full speed. That's what the Bills, whether they win, whether they lose, whether they play good, whether they play bad. One thing about a Sean McDermott team, they never play at less than 100%. Every play, every single step. So anyway, busts his ass to get down the field. Demar Hamlin can't catch him. Dorian Williams looks significantly faster than Demar Hamlin on that play. But anyway, again, Rapp slows him down just a little bit to allow him to make the tackle. And it mattered. It was a touchdown saving tackle there. And it ultimately saved the Bills 4 points on that drive, because Josh Downs dropped a pass, which would have been a touchdown, and the Colts end up settling for a field goal. So were it not for the hustle of Dorian Williams, that's a touchdown for the Colts. And who knows what happens from there. Maybe the Bills defense becomes a little rattled. They start making more mistakes. Could happen. We've seen it. But no, he makes the tackle. The Colts don't take advantage of the opportunity. They're held to a field goal. The Bills collect their breath on defense, say, all right. Because from that point on, they played a lot better on defense. They played good on defense most of the day. It was just a big play. But anyway, my point was Dorian Williams saved a bad play from being a complete disaster. And I think it's important to give him credit for maximum hustle. And you saw all the traits, all the things that are good about Dorian Williams, you saw on that play. Again, a little bit ironic. We're talking about Dorian Williams to lead off, because he might be one more game away from being a reserve again. But anyway, great job there by Dorian Williams. And speaking of great jobs, before I get to a break real quick, I want to talk about Mack Hollins. I thought Mack Hollins, again, really stepped up, and he's done that for, I'd say, most this season. This is not a guy who's a week-to-week number one wide receiver. You shouldn't be dependent on him to lead the team in receiving yards or receptions or targets or any of that. Now, that's what happened in Houston. The results were disastrous. I still remember making fun of him a little bit for that game and putting up a gif of a guy doing dizzy bat and trying to track one of Josh Allen's deep balls. It was just, it was bad. But that game aside, I tell you, man, Mack Hollins has been really good. And he was really good in this game. And he needed to be, because the Bills were down Amari Cooper and the Bills were down Keon Coleman. And Dalton Kincaid got hurt. It felt like his role, when the Bills are healthy, and it's the way it's going to be, and it's the way it should be. When the Bills are fully healthy, Mack Hollins' role is going to be primarily blocking. Maybe he catches a slant, special teams. He still matters on this team, but he's not designed to be like an impactful receiver, so to speak. And we saw that again. Tennessee, Seattle, both those games, Mack Hollins only had one target combined. But with these injuries, Mack Hollins has really stepped up big these last two games. Last week against Miami, 5 targets, 5 catches, 30 yards, a touchdown against Miami, had 2 catches on that final Bills game-winning field goal drive, including a huge, huge third down play there. So he was big against Miami, and he was big here in Indianapolis on Sunday. 4 catches, 86 yards, by far the most of any player on the Bills. 2 huge plays. Really nice 44-yard catch on a 3rd and 10. Great play by Josh Allen to set up that field goal for Buffalo before the half. He also had a 19-yard catch that set up another field goal. That's the one that put the Bills up by 2 scores there, 23 to 13. So he's been clutch, man. Last 2 games, 9 targets, 9 catches, $116, a touchdown. Just really good. 16 catches for the year, 197 yards, 3 touchdowns, 12.3 yards per catch. Tell you, man. And we all know he's a solid run blocker. He's a valuable special teams guy, too. He's a really good wide receiver 4. Like, this is what you want, ideally, out of your wide receiver 4. This was what Brandon Beane was hoping Trent Sherfield would be for the Bills last year. And that just didn't pan out. Mack Hollins has been really, really good this year with the Bills in his role. And it's good to know that when he's got to step up, that he's been able to. Anyway, quick break, come back. Plenty more takeaways. All right, we are back here going over my biggest Buffalo Bills Week 10 takeaways. I apologize for the Sabres rant at the beginning, but it's frustrating. Obviously, I was thinking about taking a nap from 6 in the morning, so I'm probably also a little bit tired and cranky there as well. Continuing with the Bills from Sunday. Look, I think they got away with, we'll just say, a less than stellar performance from Josh Allen. And I tweeted about this on Monday. I think it's kind of worth repeating. This game with Josh Allen kind of reminded me, and if you're old enough to have watched the Bills during the Super Bowl era, not just read about them, but actually watch the games, this game reminded me a lot of many of Jim Kelly's games. You know, Jim Kelly, obviously an elite quarterback, a first ballot Hall of Famer, and there were lots of weeks where he lit you up from the first snap of the game to the final whistle. But there was also plenty of games along the way where the Bills offense might have struggled a little bit or they relied on other players. Jim just wasn't his best. A couple ugly interceptions, some forced throws, some missed throws. But when push came to shove, and this is why the Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls, Jim would make the play. He'd make that throw. He'd lead you down the field on that drive, whatever it took, maybe even scrambling a little bit, whatever it took, Jim Kelly found a way. Jim Kelly was a winner. He was a winner. This game kind of reminded me of that a little bit with Josh Allen because it wasn't his best game. In fact, I think you can make maybe a reasonable argument that this might have been his second worst game of the season. Houston was his worst game. This is up there, though. Maybe Baltimore, too. I don't know, but it certainly wasn't one of his better games. Let's just put it that way. There was uncharacteristic for this season anyway, mistakes that Josh Allen made. Ultimately, of course, it didn't end up hurting them. But again, couple bad decisions, a couple really bad throws from Josh and hurt his team a little bit. You know, we can go back to the second offensive drive of the game. There were back-to-back plays there by Josh Allen. It's 3rd and 3. This was after the Austin Johnson interception, I think. I don't remember now. I don't have it in my notes. But it was early in the game, and I know it was the Bills' second drive. 3rd and 3 from the 28. Josh Allen pump fakes to Samuel, and it was a great fake. I mean, Indy got fooled. And Dalton Kincaid breaks like literally wide open down the right sideline. They wanted a dude within 6 yards of him. And Josh, who was only rushed minimally, let's just say that. He overthrows him badly. And not badly, but he overthrew him. And Kincaid can't come down with the catch. He catches that ball, he walks into the end zone for a touchdown. Just a bad miss. Like that connection between them, it seems like it's almost there. Like it's almost really getting ready to start cooking. I'm talking about Josh and Kincaid. But it just, I don't know, it's just something that seems like just ever so slightly off between those two right now, at least on those deeper passes anyway. So they don't score on that play because he misses. So now it's 4th and 3. I thought Sean McDermott, I thought it was a little bit aggressive, if I'm being honest with you. Maybe you take the field goal, you go up 13-3 on the road, but Sean McDermott, who decides to be aggressive, which again, I'll keep my criticisms to a minimum because I don't want him being conservative. Anyway, the Bills go for it on 4th and 3, and Josh rushed a throw to Samuel that he didn't have to rush. Got broken up. The Bills come away with nothing there. Yeah, there was no pressure on the play. Like, Samuel wasn't open. I'm watching the film. Nobody was open initially anyway, but Josh holds on to that ball. Maybe somebody gets open. Maybe he moves around, takes off, but he was determined to get that ball quickly to Samuel when he didn't need to. Won the best decision, not the best throw, and it was broken up. The defender was right there, and they come away with nothing. So that's one sequence. Of course, that first interception, which followed an Indy touchdown, and it makes it to make it score 10-10. Bills get the ball back. And, I know there's people out there defending Josh, and I get it. There's some people out there that defend Josh at a point where it's like nothing is his fault. And that's just not accurate, man. Not accurate at all. Yeah, was his throw a little bit obstructed? He was starting to get his left arm grabbed, not his throwing arm, as he was releasing the ball, sure. But I don't think the throw was affected watching it back. I'm talking about just in a situation where he tries to throw it to Khalil Shakir. Now, he had Zaire Franklin covering him. That's a great matchup for the Bills, of course. But I don't think he saw EJ Speed. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But regardless, it was a bad throw, a bad decision, and the Colts picked that off. And then there was a second interception, which might have even been worse. It was the first play that directly followed Greg Rizzo having a beautiful strip sack and Demar Hamlin being there to recover the fumble. 1st and 10 from their own 48. Curtis Samuel's out to the right. Josh Allen doesn't get enough mustard on the ball, or probably shouldn't have even thrown the ball. I don't think he realized how close Kenny Moore could close on it. Kenny Moore picks it off. Would have been a pick 6 if Kenny Moore doesn't slip. So that was another bad decision from Josh. Handful of them, man. Handful of bad throws, bad choices. Again, he wasn't great. Now, he ended up with 280 yards passing and 50 yards rushing. So when you can play subpar and still have those numbers, and you ran for a touchdown too, I mean, I'll take that. Josh did some work with his legs. He didn't play terrible. I wouldn't even say he played bad. He just didn't play Josh Allen-ish. Is that even a word, Josh Allen-ish? I don't know. But, he didn't play that great against Miami either. Haven't needed to. But, look, Josh Allen is the least of my worries, all right? I mean, dude is an all-world quarterback. No question. He had 10 games in, and he's at least in the conversation right now for MVP with Lamar Jackson. Maybe not Jared Goff so much after a 5-interception game, but he's in the mix. That's what I'm saying. You get it. It's okay to be objectively critical of him when it's warranted. He hasn't been at his best the last couple of weeks. The Bills are still winning, though. That's the important thing. Kind of leads to my next point, too. Indianapolis, they made this game less stressful for the Bills than it probably should have been. Like, I never felt like the Bills were in any real danger, especially in the second half at any point, of losing this game. And it's just because I just looked at the Indy offense and I was like, well, if you can stop Jonathan Taylor, which they did after that run, 7 carries or 7 yards on 5 carries in the second half. It's just Indy, just a collection of mistakes that, again, it just did the Bills so many favors. That Joe Flacco pick 6 on their first play of the game, right to Taron Johnson, who, by the way, the interception was easy. The return wasn't. It was some real crafty running and vision by Taron Johnson. Also, a great block by Rasul Douglas to spring him up for that touchdown. But you got that. You got the second series for them where Von Miller creates a pressure and Flacco gets rid of it too quickly and the ball's up for grabs. And Austin Johnson, of all people, has his second interception in 3 weeks. Just crazy. By the way, Bobby Babbage blitzed 7 dudes on that play. Both linebackers, Rasul Douglas, they brought the heat. And thank God for Von Miller, because if he doesn't get home, he doesn't get there, and Flacco's got another half second to maybe set that up to Taylor, that could have been a touchdown. At worst, it's a big play, explosive play. So props to Von Miller there. But anyway, that's just a dumb mistake by Joe Flacco. I talked about that Jonathan Taylor 58-yard run where Dorian Williams saves a touchdown. Well, if you're a Colts fan, Jonathan, the effort by Dorian Williams shouldn't have meant shit because Josh Downs was wide open on the left side, drops the ball, walks into the end zone for a touchdown, and he drops it. That costs him 4 points. Kenny Moore makes a great interception on a bad Josh Allen throw that we just talked about, but he also slipped. If he don't slip, that's a pick six. That costs him 4 points right there, too, because he only ended up kicking a field goal. So right there, Josh Downs' drop, Kenny Moore's slip, that's 8 points right there that they lost. Terrible defense right before the first half to allow the Bills to get 3 points. If I'm a Colts fan, I'm frustrated. Tell you what, if I'm a Colts fan, I'm furious, actually. How do you not go to Anthony Richardson? I just don't get it. He's the 4th overall pick in the draft, and I don't say you've given up on him already, but benching him was not, that's not it, man. It's not it. Not for 39-year-old Joe Flacco. Now, maybe the Colts, and I could even see it to maybe a tiny extent that you're saying, hey, Joe Flacco's the crafty veteran. He's going to win us enough games. We might be able to get that 7 seed, get into the playoffs and see what happens. I guess. I don't know. I don't buy it. I think that's bullshit. I still think you go with Richardson. But if you want to sell me that that's the reason why you start Flacco for right now, okay. But when you play as bad as Joe Flacco did, those first 2 drives, those first 2 picks, that should have been a wrap right there. You want to kickstart your team. You want to get things going. You want to get the crowd into the game. Bring Anthony Richardson back in. So what do you got to lose? You know, Joe Flacco's numbers, all right, 26-35, 272, 2 touchdowns. One of them complete garbage time, 2 seconds left in the game. Bullshit touchdown. I don't even want to count it. But he do 3 picks, turn the ball over 4 times, sack 4 times. How do you not go back to Anthony Richardson? That's just stupid. James Cook. James Cook, to me, watching this game and just what I've seen this season, he's just different in 2023. Or I should say he's different than he was in 2023. And he was good in 2023. He had the 4th most rushing yards in the NFL last year. But I actually think, although not statistically, I think he's better than he was last year because he's more physical. There's one run here that I loved watching. It was a 3rd and 2 play from the Indy 45. James Cook takes a handoff from Josh, runs up the middle, and he gets smacked hard. And I mean hard by the linebacker, Isaiah Land. However, Isaiah Land didn't wrap him. He hit him. And Cook kept his contact balance, which he's done so much better this year. Bounces off that, runs over someone else. It ends up getting a 20-yard run down to the Indy 25. I just don't think that's a play he makes last year. I think this is a more physical James Cook, a guy who is staying between the tackles a lot more. A guy, I think patience was there last year too. But last year, it felt like he would try to bounce more to the outside. With this year, kind of like when we talk about Josh Allen checking the ball down and taking what the defense is giving him, I kind of feel like that's been the case with James Cook. Instead of trying to bounce outside and hit a 50-yard home run, he's stayed in the middle. He's taking those running lanes, taking what the defense is given. 4 yards, 6 yards, 7, 8 yards. He's done that so well this year. Just running with more physicality. Those pads are lower. He's making contact. He's keeping great contact balance. He's initiating contact a lot. Not the kind of player I thought he was coming out of college. And I loved him coming out of college. But I loved him coming out of college because I'm like, all right, this is a guy who can make explosive plays out of the backfield, a huge asset in the passing game, which he's been a little bit here and there, but not so much this year. But it didn't matter because now he's running tough. 19 carries, 80 yards. That's not a great stat line, but those were 80 tough yards. I mean, a lot of those yards were tough. And like I said, the vision's still there. That nail in the coffin touchdown at the very end, Josh Allen's got his arms raised before James Cook even takes 2 steps towards the left to get outside. He knew what was coming. So the way he's running with vision, the way he's breaking tackles, running physical, creating contact balance, not going down as easy as past years. I'm like really, really impressed with James Cook. Yeah. I mentioned Demar Hamlin too. I have him in my takeaway notes. Let me just say this, okay? I feel like 10 games into the season now, I think we all have a pretty clear picture of what Demar Hamlin is, the pros and the cons. In terms of the pros, he's a sound player. He's a smart football player. He's not giving up the big play. He's also been a much more sure tackler, especially of late, than I initially gave him credit for. I feel like early in the season, all he cared about was not getting beat deep, running backwards if he had to, making tackles 15, 20 yards down the field. He seems much more decisive and sure in his tackling of late. He was missing a lot of tackles. At least not a lot, but a handful of tackles early in the season. That's not happening now. Like, if he gets his arms around you, he's bringing you down. So his tackling's been really good. I think he's been sound. And again, I think he's starting to get more active in the defense as well. Like, he's coming up into the box. He's making, like, he had a blitz on the Groot strip sack, and he was there to recover the fumble. He's making a couple plays coming up into the box near the line of scrimmage, and the running game just seems a lot more active as opposed to earlier in the season where the only thing it seemed like, hey, Demar, don't let somebody get behind you. Don't give up a 75-yard touchdown pass, or run down the sidelines and knock someone out of bounds on a 40-yard run. Don't let him score a touchdown. Felt like that was his only real assignment early in the season. That's kind of like I felt anyway. So those have been the pros. The cons, and there's only one really, but it's a big one. And we saw it on Sunday. He is woefully unathletic. He's not fast enough. He's not athletic enough to make a mistake and get away with it. Like, if he gets caught flat-footed to a hole or bad angle, whatever you want to call it, no matter what you want to call it, he cannot make up for it because he's just not fast enough. He's not athletic enough. That play where Taylor breaks free for 58 yards, Demar Hamlin looked really bad on that play. Not just not getting to the hole, but also not being able to even come close to running down Jonathan Taylor, and to have a running back like Dorian Williams. Clearly, I don't know if Demar gave up on the play to some extent or not. I don't think so. But Dorian Williams blew past him with speed. He's just not athletic enough. That said, I think at this point, you're going to take the good with the bad with him. I think he's your guy for the rest of the season. Cole Bishop's not. The only way Cole Bishop is starting a game this season is if Taylor Rapp or Demar Hamlin get hurt. They've already released Mike Edwards. Micah Hyde is obviously still a name that we think about and that we talk about. I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure the Bills want to mess with an 8-2 football team right now. Like, do they view Micah Hyde as a significant upgrade right now, over Demar Hamlin? Because if the answer is no, then you don't do that. You don't do that. If they're going to do it, it's going to be in the next, say, 7 days. It won't be this week. If he plays really bad against the Chiefs and they go into a bye week, maybe you get Micah back, but I don't see it. I don't see it. So that's my Demar Hamlin take. He's playing well for the most part, at least over the last 4 weeks. I think he's had 4 pretty good games in a row. He just had one bad mistake on Sunday, but it was an ugly one. And it was one where the world could see it. The world could see his lack of athleticism. He gets himself in that position, he's just in a world of trouble. Simple as that. A couple quick hitters. I don't want to get out of here. Hard to be critical of anything really with the defense when you create 4 takeaways, you have 4 sacks. I get that. But if I'm being a little bit nitpicky watching the film, kind of a rough day for Rasul Douglas. 6 targets in the passing game, 6 catches allowed, 82 yards, 5 first downs. He had a 48.1 PFF overall grade, which was the worst among the defensive starters, 42.7 PFF grade in coverage. So not a good game for Rasul, but And this is what I love about this football team, man. These guys, even when they're having a bad day, they'll find another way to help you win. And Rasul Douglas did that. Again, not the greatest day in coverage, but on that Teron Johnson interception, the first play of the game, he had the key block. If he doesn't make that block, Johnson's not scoring a touchdown. He doesn't bring it back for a touchdown. Who knows what happens? Maybe Josh Allen fumbles a snap. You never know, right? So he deserves credit for that. So even on a bad day, by his standards, he still does something to help the team win. The other thing I thought was kind of funny that, we talk about everybody eats on the offense. And he did on Sunday too, by the way. 5 guys on the offense had a catch for at least 17 yards. Mack Hollins, Shakir, Dawson Knox, a beautiful 34-yard catch for him, and a great throw by Josh Allen, Curtis Samuel, and Ty Johnson. So 5 guys had at least a catch for 17 yards. That's the definition of everybody eating on the offense, especially on a day where you don't got Keon Coleman, you don't got Amari Cooper, and you basically don't have Dalton Kincaid by the second quarter. So everybody ate on offense, but guess what? Everybody ate on defense too, man. Everybody ate on defense. 6 guys had a tackle for a loss. Williams, Christian Benford, Groot, Teron Johnson, A.J. Epinesa, Quentin Jefferson. 4 guys had a sack, 4 different guys. Groot, a strip sack. Johnson, Epinesa. Quentin Jefferson in his first game back with the Bills. Von Miller had a great game. 3 quarterback pressures, including the one that led to the Austin Johnson interception. Again, Austin Johnson had an interception. Taylor Rapp also had an interception. Everybody contributed. Von Miller also had a really big run stop as well. By the way, he's playing pretty good against the run the last couple of weeks since coming back from that suspension. So, again, Ed Oliver had a couple good plays. Everybody ate on the defense. Everybody ate on the defense. Really fun to see. Also, I know Jordan Phillips, not really anything on the field. He may or may not end up being like a useful signing, but he sure as shit has a lot more fun when he's in Buffalo. There was a clip, I retweeted it. Pretty much has gone viral actually at this point. Talking trash to Colts linebacker Zaire Franklin. I don't know what Franklin said or did to this team, but the Bills were out talking shit up on his ass all day long. He was getting the crowd pumped up on the road. He lifted Josh over his shoulders after a big Bills offensive play. Just loves being in Buffalo. Jordan Phillips might suck for 31 other teams, but he's a good fit with the Buffalo Bills. Like, he fits this organization with a glove. And dude loves being a Buffalo Bill. We'll see if it works out on the field. But early returns, that was fun. I mentioned Ty Johnson. Interesting to see him outsnap Ray Davis today, or Sunday. 2-1. 22 snaps to 11. Joe Marino from Locked On Bills pointed out to me, completely accurate. Mentioned the Colts like to bring pressure on third down. Those third down passing downs, the Colts like to blitz. And Ty Johnson is just straight up a better pass blocker than Ray Davis. Hell, he's a better pass blocker than James Cook as well. So that's probably why you saw as many reps for him. And Ty Johnson had a really nice third down catch. Almost dropped it, but held on for a 17-yard gain. Quickly here. Pretty tough game for the guards. David Edwards, who left with a stinger late in that game. I didn't hear anything about him on Monday, so I'm going to assume that it's not too bad of an injury. But anyway, he had 3 pressures allowed. Oof. Look at the stats from PFF. 18.1 PFF pass blocking grade in true passing sets. That's terrible, man. Osiris Torrance was pretty bad too. Gave up 3 pressures. He only had a 22.3 PFF pass blocking grade. Flagged for holding, which wiped out that Josh Allen run. Now, in fairness, with Buckner and Glover, I think it was Glover, the other guy, whoever it is. Colts got really good defensive tackles, so they'll make a lot of interior guys look bad. Connor McGovern played pretty well, though, but I just thought that would point that out. Khalil Shakir, 30-yard run after the catch on that one play at 49 yards after the catch. But now he's down to second in the NFL because Jamar Chase had like a gazillion yards after the catch last Thursday against Baltimore. But still, we're 10 games in. Khalil Shakir's missed a game and a half, and he's second in the NFL amongst receivers with yards after catch. That tells you how valuable he is to this team. One last take I got. This isn't really so much a takeaway from this game specifically, but just Watching around the league this week and going back to when the Bills played Seattle, I truly realized now the culture of the Buffalo Bills, it's really apparent when you compare it to other teams around the league. Like the Bills will go out there and, they got some bad games. They'll play like shit. They got shellacked in Baltimore. They should have got blown out against in Houston as well. Houston let the Bills back in that game. Let's just keep that shit real. But the one thing you don't see with the Bills ever is A, you don't see finger pointing. B, you don't see a lack of effort. You don't see them fighting and arguing on the sidelines. You don't see stupid bullshit quotes in the media going at fans, things like that. It's just not what you're going to see with a Sean McDermott team, which is in stark contrast to what you see with some of these teams around the league. Look at the Jets. Aaron Rodgers screaming at his teammate, pointing his finger at that, I think it was the rookie Corley, blaming him. He's been doing this shit forever now. Talking, getting up to the podium. He did it with Mike Williams when they played the Bills. He called out Mike Williams. It's just, he's a bad leader. That's what he is. He's a bad leader. You don't see that in Buffalo. Can you imagine Josh Allen calling out a player on his own team? In front of the world, at a podium, after you've had time to let it sink in for a minute, and then you get to a podium and you call out a player. Can you imagine Josh Allen doing it? I can't, because he won't. So you got that. Deebo Samuel for Frisco yesterday, or Sunday, I should say. Throwing haymaker, or he threw a punch at the long snapper on his own team. Go back to the Seattle game a couple weeks ago. Reed and Hall, they're on the field going at it like crazy. Get on the sidelines, pushing and shoving each other. They had to be separated by their coaches and their teammates. They're just things that you don't see with the Buffalo Bills. And say what you want about the word culture and all that stuff, but Sean McDermott runs a ship the right way with the Buffalo Bills. Those are just things you're not going to see it. You're not going to see infighting. You're not going to see the finger pointing. You're not going to see your leaders going to a podium and throwing each other under the bus. Look at Doug Peterson for Jacksonville, basically blaming his players for them sucking this year. Basically, that's what Doug Peterson has done. Can you imagine Sean McDermott doing that? Me neither. So anyway, that's, again, not a week 10 takeaway, just kind of a general takeaway with the Bills as we wrap this up. Tomorrow's show, Matt Warren from SB Nation is going to join me, and we're going to talk about the Bills' true test starting now. 8-2 is amazing. Again, it's about getting into the playoffs, and you get to the playoffs by winning your division. The Bills unofficially have already won the AFC East. They're going to be going to the playoffs, which means you're going to have a home game because you won that division. Where they go from there, what seed they end up, how far they go, who the hell knows? We don't know a lot about this team, though, other than they could beat teams that they're supposed to beat. They're 8-2 because they're handling their business. Okay? Over the next month, we're going to start to find out how good this team really is, because these next 4 games, Chiefs at home, Frisco at home, at the Rams, at Detroit, we're going to learn a lot about this team. So Matt Warren is going to dive into that with me. That's tomorrow's show. Thursday, I think Joe Yurden's going to be with me. He's scheduled to. We're going to obviously talk Sabres, and I could pile on them a hell of a lot more, unless they win. Maybe if they win on Tuesday, I won't so much. But we'll talk Sabres. We'll talk Little Bills as well. Joe is a huge Detroit Lions fan. We'll talk that as well. Friday, a big Bills Chiefs preview. May have a special guest for that. In fact, I may have a live show for that somewhere as well. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, thank you one more time for watching, for listening. I truly do appreciate you guys very much. If you're not subscribed, please go ahead and do that now. Again, Matt Warren will be with me tomorrow.